Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. So, Reacher episode 4 dropped, it'll be 2 days ago when you see this video. Now, again, this is a 75% spoiler review if I haven't mentioned that before. That's why I wait 2 days for it to drop. So, all of those of you out there who want to watch it first, stop right now if you haven't seen it and go watch episode 4. Okay? I'm not going to fully reveal the end. I try not to do that much. But I want to talk about the stuff in the show, what I thought was good, what was bad. So, how to put it? This episode wasn't as good as episode 3, but it was almost as good. And the ending is what made it come together, right? So, this is basically an investigation episode, right? And, one of the things that sometimes you know the writing on the series is great. It was great last season. It's been great some other season. So in your head, when they're doing something that you might not like for example, Reacher is constantly ignoring the detective. That's why I have him on my opening with the VLC screen showing his face. Reacher has a hostile relationship with this guy, even though he's come to a degree that he knows he's a good cop, right? At least that's what we think so far. But you see Reacher constantly ignoring him until he has something for him to do instead of getting him involved, and that's because Reacher wants to kill the bad guys and this guy wants to arrest them, right? So that much is obvious, right? But that's building up artificial tension between him and the cop. So there has to be a payout for that, right? And will it be a brawl? I don't think so. I think that the show writers are smart enough to know to make that tension pay out where Reacher's going to give this guy something. I think that's what can happen. By the end of the season, Reacher will give this guy something to make his career, to do the cop stuff, to the people for him to arrest, and Reacher will wind up killing maybe the main bad guy. However, will die in some capacity. Reacher's smart enough to make that all work out. He tries to have everyone who helps him out, do well. There were a couple cameos. One in particular, from Reacher season 1. It was a good. I never read the books for this. So I don't know if that character actually makes a return or not. But it was a nice way to have a little throwback, get a popular character. Because as those of you who read the Reacher books know, while there are characters who reoccur, oftentimes it's almost entirely a new cast from book to book. So we see Neely again in this season. Odds are Reacher season 3 won't have her at all. I mean, or maybe she'll be in a cameo, like Reacher will call up and have her do some computer work for him or whatever, So that's kind of my logic on what they're going to do with this. So it's a big dose of Neely. She was a supporting character last season. Now she's a main character, and she's going to fade away to be maybe a supporting character. And then this Reacher TV show is big enough as a verse that they could actually spin something off of this. Neely has some sort of chemistry with the detective who they could be a private detective agency. There's all sorts of ways they could go with this if they want to have these characters who are essentially passing through background characters, have some of them come together in another Reacher-verse series. That's quite possible. Pacing. This episode was building towards something, and it paid out at the end, right? In other words, you felt that this episode, it wasn't, there was the tension level didn't spike and drop like it did maybe last episode. It just kept getting more and more and more as things built up, and there was the brawl at the end. I'll call it. Well, that's what I can say. Was spot on. Okay. It was the right thing to happen at the right time, and you felt it had to happen. As soon as they pulled into that parking lot, you knew and so the amount of time left in the episode, you knew something was going to happen. You knew it was going to be violent. If you followed the pattern of this show. So that's kind of general impressions. I really like the sort of, they're really, so one of the things about Reacher is he always throws his clothes away. He basically, he's a nomad. He doesn't only carries around a toothbrush and a couple other bare minimum stuff. He uses the ATMs and to live off his pension, and he just travels round and round. And I'm presuming 29, 30 books in, that he's like that 28, 29, 30 books later. That, and obviously in the book universe, 5, 6, 7 of these books are occurring in 1 year. So it's not like, 30 years of Reacher traveling around, So they've already established that several of the adventures before this have happened, like the one, the second Tom Cruise Reacher movie. I mean, the plot events of that have occurred. Reacher referenced them last episode or the episode before about the main character there, that he helped out. So that's pretty good. What else to say before we do a little episode review? Oh, back to what I was saying. So, and that's what the still I'm using is with Reacher carrying the boots. This is very iconic. That Reacher, and the reason he would carry the boots, it's hard to get boots in this size. It's not because he's attached to those boots. We don't get this. It's hard to get boots in his size the way Reacher normally gets clothes, which is to go to the thrift store and buy a new set of clothes wherever he is. And his team constantly jokes that Reacher, who wants to pay for everything, can't because he's living off of his low military pension with no savings or anything. And they're all like, took the skills they learned together with him and have these, like, they're all become sort of wealthy or well off. So it's a little joke, but it's done well. Okay. So let's take a quick look through the episode. Here we go. So this is one thing that came up in this episode. Again, spoilers. Please, if you haven't seen the episode, stop right now. Go watch the episode. Okay. So this is something they're playing off, and where Reacher has faith in his team, but his team is Reacher is usually objective at almost everything, right? Except when he has faith in a person. Okay. Doesn't mean he's not always prepared. Like Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. But he's not going to drop faith in you unless you do something to earn it. So the possibility that Swan is dirty, he's a bad guy, has been presented to us, the audience, and his teammates are the other team members trying to be objective and like the way Reacher trained them. That was the thing at the end of last episode where, they're like, well, Reacher said to go. I don't want to disobey Jack Reacher's orders. And Reacher's like, what are you guys, joking with them? But that's the thing. They respect him so much. They learn from him. It's almost like they follow the Reacher code more rigidly than he does, but whereas he's earned the right to sort of disobey the Reacher code once in a while because he's so far deep into it or whatever. So Swan, we've been presented evidence as the audience that Swan could be dirty, right? And several members of the Reacher team constantly bring up, look, you're not being objective, and Reacher say, just sticking to his faith, That does not mean that Reacher will not be prepared, something bad to happen, because Reacher is always prepared. At least, in the books and that I read, and in this first season, and the Tom Cruise movies, Reacher was always prepared doesn't mean he was like hyper prep for everything, but when something happened, Reacher was not caught by surprise, like, oh my God, there's a guy with a gun coming at me? He expects the guy to come at him, So that's part of his character nature, right? Now they've established this is a bit where they're establishing that the cop who thinks he's trying to work with Reacher is more of a support character here. He's being given crap by his captain. This is a pretty good acting scene. Now, one thing that does it is a little troublesome, and there's always flaws. Something like Reacher's not a 10 out of 10. It's like a 9.7 out of 10 or whatever. The main characters constantly talk about like what they're doing, that they're with people around them, like no one's going to pay attention to them, and 9 out of 10 people won't. But in our society, we always know there's that one social media lurker who wants to get his 10. He has maybe 100 followers on Instagram and wants to get that one scoop or whatever. Want to do a little background TikTok video like, look at those people over my shoulder. They're plotting to steal stuff, and then there's always like in our modern society someone like that. So them being not as verbally discreet, that's an honest criticism. Okay. Again, this is a little throwback to an incident Reacher remembers where Swan could have been interpreted as trying to take some product that they had confiscated or whatever. So it puts more doubt in the heads of the audience as to whether Swan is a good guy or not. They all dress up to go for the to the play, but they don't really use. They really only use her, in terms of the eye candy. Neely doesn't do much. So this comes a little positive fan service here, And here's our cameo, or all okay. There's not a lot to complain about in this episode. It's all well paced and all built towards this particular bit at the end here. Yeah. So what happens here is the fight. Now, again, I'm not going to spoil the fight. I want you all to go watch it on your own. But I will say this. This is a fight that will clearly demonstrate that Reacher is like an alpha and other people. And he's only had one or two fights with another alpha in this show. The dude he fought on the stairs in New York was another alpha fight. And for the most part, Reacher has no problems fighting betas and gammas, so to speak. So that's kind of my take on the episode. Back to the beginning. Again, slow build investigatory episode. Flashbacks, usual stuff. Nothing established in this. They're really building this other guy who is a villain. We always see him murdering people off screen as he travels across the country. So I guess he's going to be an alpha that Reacher has to fight at some point. So those are my thoughts about Reacher episode 4. What else could I say? That it wasn't the fight at the end was great, but the overall episode was not as enjoyable to me as episode 3 rather. Episode 3, it was like like that type of 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm okay with that. You don't have to have every episode be perfect. As long as the show progresses, and overall the show's a 9.5 out of 10 after 4 episodes. It is far and away one of the best things you will see on streaming TV, whatever you want to call it right now. This episode will drop right before Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone out there. Happy holidays. Stay safe. Stay aware. Let's keep everyone having a positive time. My name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73. Maybe over my shoulder you see a little bear cub. That's my new channel mascot, Unbearable 23. And have a nice day. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike. Share this video out there. If you want to help me get some channel growth, you guys have been real great to me. My Reacher videos have gotten me some nice channel growth. I got like 10 subs based on it. And my Reacher episode 3 review has gotten over 1,200 views. And now, granted, most of those views I know it's people watching 10 seconds and saying, this guy sucks or whatever. I get that. I know I'm just here sharing. I'm a guy from Jersey sharing my opinion about stuff. I'm not looking to be the biggest guy on the internet. This is a hobby, and I just want to share my thoughts with you and maybe interact back and get your thoughts on this stuff. So have a happy holiday. My name is Matt. Have a nice day. Stay safe.